Welcome back to another edition of NASCAR DFS Preview with the Sports Chief. I'm AustYn, and bringing some Wednesday night racing coming up with the doubleheader, I guess you could call it, at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Alsco 500k. So we're looking at 208 laps, or a lot shorter race, so pretty much half the length of the Coke 600 with the 400 laps. Which makes it a little more difficult to pick and choose a strategy. So I think DraftKings, if you've looked at the way DraftKings did their salaries, which I'll show here in a second, they made it really difficult, and they've actually implemented something I've never really seen, and that's the fact that a lot of your positive EV guys, the guys that are starting in the back, they're worth a lot more now. And it's not really based upon the season stats, which is kind of weird. And that's one thing that took me a long time. It's going to leave everyone scratching their head for this week. Going to be a lot of different lineups out there. And, of course, I did my research. That's kind of what led me to the lineup that I'm going to go with. Past history, things like that. Pit stalls are one thing that I touched off on the Coke 600. I thought it was very important for a good pit stall for the cautions, because sometimes they can get spread out with the lap cars. Not so much for this event. So I believe you're going to have a lot of short sprints. Horsepower is going to mean a lot, of course, like always. Maybe more so than the Coke 600, where it took more of endurance. So let's just go ahead and let's hit it. That's really all I can say for that. So value is more of what I'm looking at, considering what DraftKings did to us this week. So let's just check it out. So that's right. Jimmie Johnson is your most expensive driver, starting in 40th place at 12.3. Don't get me wrong, that was very smart for whoever put together the salary, but wow, that's different. Clint Bowyer is your second most expensive, starting in 39th at 11.8. And now we're starting to talk about the guys that are normally up there. Denny Hamlin starting in 29th at 11.2. Kyle Busch starting in 17th at 10.5. And Brad Keselowski starting in 20th at 10,000. So we only have 5 10K drivers this week, and we even have 3 of the 5 that are 11 and above. Made it really difficult. And I'm going to tell you that for newcomers and inexperienced players, they're going to pick Jimmie Johnson. And I'm not necessarily saying that's the wrong choice. But that 40th spot, man, that looks great. And Clint Bowyer's spot looks great. And Denny Hamlin's spot looks great. And I kept trying to put these guys in a lineup, and I just did not like any of the ones that I put together. Now, you can get risky and throw it in there. The fact that it is a short race makes it more plausible to think that these guys towards, the lower budget teams could get better finishes. I don't know. It's totally up your call, pretty much. One thing that I'm going with, and to me, I don't want last Wednesday to repeat itself where Denny Hamlin, I was like, man, this guy's so good at Darlington. He's the best. I got to go with Martin Truex at 15th spot. So, Chase Elliott, he had the race win. He's starting in 19th. That's going to be a great pick. Brad Keselowski won the race in 20th spot. That's a great pick. All of these are good picks. That's the rough thing about it. All the 9K and above guys are great choices. So I'm going to show you what my strategy is on picking that. So I'm going to go with Martin Truex Jr. starting in 15th. Martin could win the race. One thing that, I'm going to click his name here, one thing that I really looked at was the 56 fastest laps and the 87 laps led. He got up there pretty quick. He had the most fastest laps. That's one thing that I'm looking at. I think that's very important, and he had a really good piece that night. So, haven't looked at the weather. I know in the Carolinas it's supposed to be overcast, kind of cloudy, low 80s. So that'll play in a factor, but that's pretty much the same temperature that it was Sunday. I don't think it's going to be a big weather change. The truck race was ran, of course, and the Xfinity race was ran on Monday. Trucks on Tuesday night. So I'm not sure if they're reapplying the PJ1 or not. That may come into play. If there's a lot of rubber on the track, so very well raced for sure. The rain, I don't think it's going to rain hard enough to wash it all away. You never know. But I don't think so. Anyway, Martin Truex Jr. starting in 15th. I think he's a top 10 lock, barring any terrible circumstance. My second choice is going to be Kevin Harvick at 9-2, starting in 16th. Again, if you can get Kevin Harvick at 9-2 in the form that he's in, that's great. So I'm going with Kevin Harvick. He's decent here at this track. I believe he has a couple wins. He's got like 3, pretty sure. But I just like the Stewart-Haas engines as well. And he started in 26th Sunday and finished 4th, 6th. He finished 6th. Sorry, he started in 22nd and finished 6th. Man, a little off of it today, but yeah, I like Harvick in 16th spot. I feel like that's a top 10 lock for sure. I just want to get positive EV, so I do have probably more of a tournament strategy, just to let you guys know. And rounding out, my third choice will be Kurt Busch, starting in 14th. Yes, 14th, 15th, and 16th. Kurt Busch looked pretty good starting from the pole. Even ended up 7th. He's got the first pit stall, which is a pretty big deal, I think. And if he can get a top 10, again, that's all I'm looking for. And if one of these guys hits, that is great. This is more of my strategy from if you watch my past season last year doing videos. This is probably more like what I would do then compared to this year. It's been pretty wild with the draws and things. So this is what I'm going with so far. As you can tell, I have an average salary of $74.66. So let's scroll all the way down to the bottom. Michael McDowell starting in 3rd. I mean, he's your cheapest driver at $4,500. Greg Galding starting in 31st. I just can't believe that DraftKings just threw a wrench into everybody's plans. J.J. Ailey 21st. He might be the lowest owned guy, period. McDowell may be close. But, yeah, Yaley will be pretty lowly owned. McLeod, Smith, Lee Hill, Huff, Houff, Gase, Bilicki, LaJoy. I wouldn't even consider anyone below LaJoy. I would consider LaJoy because he could finish in the top 20. Brennan Poole, John Hunter Nemechek, he's starting too high. Cole Custer, starting too high. And I had him last week, and I really lucked out. He was really a top 18 car, barely. He ended up 13th, which was great. But anyway, we won a little bit in the tournament, so that was good. Ryan Preece, 22nd. That is a decent option. It's hard for me to think that he'll finish above. He's kind of in that spot, so that's pretty tough for me. One guy that I really like is Ty Dillon. I think Ty Dillon's got like a 17th, 18th place car, and that's what I'm going to go with in the 25th spot. For sure, I believe he will finish higher in 25th. Maybe not much higher, but I think that I feel a little more comfortable picking him over Preece. So going with Ty Dillon, and look at this: DiBenedetto 4th, Buescher 11th, Bell 12th, Dillon 7th, Almirola 6th. Where's the EV in these guys? I mean, can you honestly say you think they're going to finish higher than where they? I mean, Christopher Bell's been running really well here lately, and Buescher, DiBenedetto though, they really did. It was tough. This one is tough for sure. And then you're going with Stenhouse in 24th. I really like Stenhouse. I do believe that he's pretty solid at Charlotte. He had like a top 20 finish. He had finished in the top 20 since 2015 every single start. I didn't really word that the greatest, but and he ruined it with a 25th place finish. Ryan Newman in 27th. Here is my big pick. So while everyone else is picking, and they may pick him too, while everyone else is picking Jimmy Johnson and Clint Boyer and Denny Hamlin, I'm going to pick Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace is starting in 38th. He's 8'3", which is crazy. You know, if you click his name here, his average salary is around $6,000, and he's been like that forever. And that's why I'm like, man, DraftKings did us dirty. So he's in 38th. I like Bubba getting a top 25. Get me some positive EV. I'm looking just for all of my guys to finish higher than where they started. And here is where my tournament pick comes into play. My thought process is I wanted to go with consistent, stout drivers who could win the race. And if I could get 4 drivers in the field that I think could plausibly win, I would think I'm doing pretty good. So I missed out on Ryan Blaney. Now, what you could do if you feeling risky here, you could say that, man, I think Priest is a top 16 car. Going Ryan Priest, I got 8,100. Let's roll out Ryan Blaney, right? Or Matt Kenseth. I'm not sold on Matt Kenseth yet. I have to see a little bit more out of him in that 42 team. But Ryan Blaney had a top 5 going. I had him. He started in 26. He was just too good to pass up. You could go that route. Or you could scroll down here to Corey LaJoie, and then you'd have 8,700. And you could go with Byron or Bowman, which could, these two Hendrick drivers could very well lead 50-plus laps. So, you know, you just have to say, well, Corey LaJoie is going to get a top 20 finish. You know, Corey probably will get around where he's starting. If I was to put a prediction on it. So I'm still locked in with Ty Dillon. That's who I'm going with. And Bubba. Another route you can go, you know, you don't have to pick Bubba. You go, if you believe in Ryan Newman and you think he's going to come back and run pretty well, do that and go Byron. That's not bad at all either. That's a really good tournament strategy. I like Bubba Wallace, and I think he could finish higher than Ryan Newman. It's not far-fetched, I don't believe. Anyway, so what I'm going with Erik Jones. Erik Jones is starting in the 10th spot. He's got a top 10 car. He's been running pretty well, and one thing I've learned about picking Erik Jones, while Charlotte is not one of his greatest tracks, he's decent. You know, he got, what, if he's starting in 10th, yeah, he finished 12th, you know, well, Jimmy got DQ'd, but, and he's finished 5th and 8th in his last 3. 12th, 5th, and 8th, the last 3. So if he's around that range, man, I really like that choice, and I like TRUEX in the race. That's probably who I would pick to win the race, and with my throwaway, so to speak, pick being in Ty Dillon and Bubba Wallace, I feel pretty good about having TRUEX, Harvick, Busch, and Jones as possible winners. And that's the best recipe I could cook up. You know, you could go Ryan Newman and Byron, though. That looks pretty good. Wouldn't fault you at all for going that route. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to skip all the chalky plays. Skipping Jimmy, skipping Boyer, skipping Hamlin, skipping Busch, skipping Keselowski, skipping Elliott. And then going with TRUEX, going with Harvick, going with Kurt Busch with that first pit stall. Bubba Wallace at 8-3. Erik Jones at 7-8. Ty Dillon at 6-3. So we're using all of our salary here. So there you have it. So that's what we're rolling out with Sports Chief. And this week was really tough. I hope I helped you guys with some guidance. I hate to say it, man, but there's going to be a lot of different lineups out there. Even though I think Jimmy will be chalky, I think Bubba Wallace will probably be heavily owned. These guys, they're high priced. And you don't want that high price. What they're trying to get you at is they're wanting you. They're like, hey, Jimmy, they're just dangling it right in front of you. Hey, Jimmy, he's 40th. Pick Jimmy. Well, Jimmy, you know, he goes all out and he could wreck. And, you know, he could end up where he was. Even though he finished second, I don't know. I can't do it. I want to stay consistent, stay humbled, I guess you could say. I don't know what the word I could use there, but I want to keep Truex and Harvick. Man, if I got Truex and Harvick, I feel great. And then Kurt Busch. I hope that a lot of people will overlook that. So, if you like our content, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at The Sports Chief. We're on Instagram as well. We do, entertainment, wrestling, a little bit of everything, food, drink, reviews. If you have something you'd like us to do, man, we'll try to hit it up. So, hopefully, I'll help you guys win big here at the Alsco 500k. It is kilometers. I believe in the last video I did, I said it wasn't kilometers, and that made me look pretty stupid. So, hope everyone has a good race week. And then we're going to Bristol on Saturday. So, Bristol's a tough one for DFS. One of my favorite tracks, though. So, happy race week and good luck to everyone.